a bit of shit. Motherfucker.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.
Overwatch 2, but then I thought that that's not fair considering the big bulk of what makes it a sequel isn't even out yet, which is the story mode or PvE. Right now it's exclusively the multiplayer, which is basically still just Overwatch 1 with some big patches to it. So instead of doing a moist meter, I'm just going to come in here raw and give you my full, unfiltered thoughts. The brutally honest truth. So if you're allergic to facts, then I recommend you get your EpiPen out, because I'm not pulling any punches this time around. I'm going Insano style. I'm entering a flow state of opinions about Overwatch 2. So over the last...
Alright, I'm actually curious to hear his opinion. And my opinion is, I actually think, even if it's maybe not as many changes as people were hoping for, I think the changes they have done are good. Almost all of them.
So I've played probably about 35 hours worth of Overwatch 2, which for me is a lot. The World Health Organization would diagnose me with a severe case of epic super style gamer. I'm somewhat of a power gamer, and I put a lot of time in Overwatch 2, and I feel like I've got a firm grasp on the game as of right now. Now, a lot of you know that I was a very outspoken critic of Overwatch 1. Unironically, I was one of the biggest hate watchers of that game. I would keep up with it just to make fun of it and be upset by it, go out of my way to be offended by its existence. I was a huge fan of Overwatch for Season 1, and played it actively all the way up until Brigitte came out, which is when most people started to drop the game, because it got super stinky. The game devolved into just giant fucking bullet sponges, just shooting at meat, charging ult, and then dumping ults all at the same time, rinse and repeat. It wasn't very fun. Nothing but massive shields to break through and hard CC that basically just turned your computer off for 8 seconds during the game if you got chained by it. It was just not enjoyable, so I didn't like the game for a long time. It even became a yearly tradition on my streams to do an Overwatch check-in annually, just to go in there and be mad. Like, just
sounds like an artifact check-in.
Play the game and get upset by it and realize that it still hasn't gotten any better. So obviously I wasn't the biggest Overwatch enthusiast. I stopped being a fan of the game after about a year and a half, and from that point forward, the best thing Overwatch ever had was its porn. The porn community was keeping Overwatch alive. It was the last heartbeat for that game. So I really didn't have huge expectations for Overwatch 2, if I'm being honest. I thought it was just going to be more of the same, and just be really boring, and I'd drop it pretty quickly. But surprisingly, that hasn't been the case. I've actually really been enjoying the game, which is a bigger shock than when Hank Schrader found out that Walter White was Heisenberg. I truly didn't expect to enjoy the game as much as I am. It's far from perfect, so I want to immediately jump into the things that...
What was that about? Why do you have to randomly spoil...
are wrong with it?
I mean, most people probably know, but...
everyone knows it had a laughably awful launch. 3 times that would go fucking hours and you'd never get in. You'd just be locked in this endless purgatory waiting to play the game on day 1. Even day 2, the servers weren't...
Diva is the most searched word on Pornhub right now. Is that true?
Fixed. I believe it was due to being DDoSed. I think that's what Blizzard said was the main cause. Some people could play, some people couldn't, but it was an absolute mess, and it became a massive joke about how terrible day 1 and day 2 were for Overwatch 2. Another big problem with it is the needing a mobile number in order to play. That also...
Jesus Christ, man. People are too thirsty. Geesy6, thanks for the 18 months, welcome back.
It was extremely messy because some providers wouldn't actually work. So even if you had a legitimate phone, legitimate number and everything, if it was like a prepaid phone, I think it was Cricket was the big one, you still couldn't access the game. Blizzard wouldn't allow it, but I believe all of that's been fixed. So these massive problems that arose immediately at least have been addressed and fixed to some level, as I understand it. But even still, a pretty inexcusable, catastrophically awful launch for Overwatch.
What's this thing here, by the way? Does anyone know? It's a little Twitch, like, award. I wonder what it says. I've never seen one of those.
Overwatch 2. Now let's dive into the actual game itself. As all of the astute observers have realized, the game looks exactly like Overwatch 1. Anyone with eyes and a brain will be able to immediately recognize that not much has changed visually or gameplay-wise from Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2. As I mentioned, it's the same game. It's not really a sequel in terms of its multiplayer. It's basically Overwatch Update. But they've now lumped it all together into Overwatch 2 because that's coming out with like the PvE and everything. So the name has changed from Overwatch to Overwatch 2, I guess mainly for marketing because it's a lot easier to generate hype around Overwatch 2 versus Overwatch 1.5, you know, something like that. So yes, it is still the exact same Overwatch, but with some big changes to it. And you're delusional if you don't think these changes make an impact on the game. The biggest one, by far, is the switch from 6v6 to 5v5. Yeah. It is an extraordinary breath of fresh air. The biggest problem with Overwatch 1, as I mentioned, was just everyone being a bullet sponge in the entire game just being fucking meaningless until you get your ult, because everyone has massive shields, everyone has huge health, so you just shoot at a giant clump of fucking flesh and and grease until you charge your ult and then you just dump all your ults at the same time. It was so boring.
School was pog
And
today?
the biggest
Nice,
problem-
Tronics.
The reason why that was there, and
Actual
such a big
juicer.
problem, is because of the 2 tank meta. In a 6v6, you always had 2 tank, 2 DPS, 2 healers. And those tanks always had shields and shit, so it was just really boring. Such a snooze fest. But 5v...
Dude, I really like the new tanks. I'm surprised not more I'm surprised not more people are playing them, but I guess for every game you only need 1 tank compared to everyone else, so that's why the queue times still work. You feel so powerful as a tank.
5 speeds up the pacing a ton. In role queue, you only have
Wrist
one
size
tank.
OP.
And yes, admittedly, that tank is like a fucking raid boss that somehow also spits and shits out so much DPS, it's wild.
Yeah.
But it's still just one tank, which means you now as a DPS, or even a healer, like Zenyatta can pop off, you have much more of an impact on the outcome of the game. You're able to actually get picks more, you're able to actually have fights. Like, it's no longer just shoot at the team shield till it breaks and you get your ult. Now you can actually
chat's insane.
fight each other, as opposed to just waste time until ults come online. It's just so much better. I don't think there is a single person who's played Overwatch 2 right now that says they preferred 6v6. I haven't seen that take anywhere. Not on Twitter.
Trill, let me ask you guys, for the people that actually are playing it, do you guys agree?
Not on Reddit, fucking nowhere. I would have expected some people to get like nostalgic, like put a finger up their ass and be like, damn, I miss the good old days when we could have 2 tanks and do nothing for fucking 45 minutes of a match. I miss it. I hate that the game's faster now. It's such a welcome change. It is so much better. Another thing Overwatch 2 does that's just an absolute fat W is the removal of hard CC.
Spend my promos
There's still
after
some,
over and
but
quit.
not nearly as prevalent as it was in the first Overwatch. Like I mentioned, it was a huge problem there. If you got chain CC'd, it was miserable, absolutely insufferable. I would have rather cleaned a gas station bathroom with my face than play Overwatch 1 with all the stuns and all that shit. It was so bad. In Overwatch 2, a lot of those hard CC abilities have been replaced. For example, McCree, or god damn it, Cassidy, I keep forgetting they changed that character's name.
What does this mean? DDXDDYDDU.
The old Western shooting cowboy man, gunmaster cowboy guy, he no longer has that flashbang anymore. Instead, he now has a sticky grenade. So he throws a grenade, it can stick to you, and it does a lot of damage when it blows up. So no longer a stun.
Derivatives.
I just think that's overall better for the health of the game. Just these 2 changes alone immediately improve the experience.
I never did advanced
at
maths.
least for me personally.
I'm not a
prefer
sadist.
the more high-octane, full-throttle gameplay as opposed to just sitting behind your tank and doing nothing. Healers in this game, support class, are actually super fun too, because now that it's not just a ton of shields and frontline tanks that just clutter everything, now you, even as a healer, can do a ton of damage and contribute a lot, even just beyond healing. Like, I'll oftentimes see Zenyatta top frag, and even out-DPS some of the DPS characters, because the healers are pretty well designed to be fun. Like, a lot of my friends are actual support mains because they just really love it. In particular, Anna. Anna's really, like, become a...
Bunch of nerds in this chat. Come here, nerds. I'm about to pants you all.
crowd favorite for...
Come here, I'm gonna dunk your head in the toilet.
My friend group. I know a lot of my friends play Anna now. And for good reason. She's super strong and she is fun to play. Like, overall, just everything in the game has been improved by just these 2 changes alone. The new heroes they've introduced, I also enjoy. Haven't played
I passed high school.
She's not available in ranked mode yet, and all I play is ranked mode.
In Sweden, at least when I grew up, you got to do math A, B, C in high school, and then there's also D, E, and I think F is max. Basically, everyone does math A. I think you have to do math A. Most people do math B. A decent amount of people do math C, and then D and E is when it starts getting... I don't think there's F, actually. D and maybe E. I did A, B, and C. So I think I did okay. Anything after that is just craziness. Anything after that, you do like if you want to become an engineer and stuff.
But I never do casual because
it's 1 to 5
waste
now.
my time. If I'm playing a game, I'm out there grinding to be number
There's
1
more
on the
than
leaderboard,
E.
baby.
Matte
And she's not
STFM.
available there, so I haven't really played much of her. But I do like Sojourn and I do like Junker Queen, though I do think Junker Queen's a little underwhelming compared to some of the really strong tanks like Orisa right now. But I don't think there's any like dog shit characters at the moment. I think the weakest character in the game that I can think of off the top of my head is Doomfist. Doomfist is kind of useless right now.
Oh yeah, I haven't even seen him. I forgot he existed.
Outclassed by legitimately
and
every
they
other
say
tank in the game. But aside from him, almost every other character feels very strong right now. And you're just having a good time regardless. Now again, this is Overwatch. It's not really like...
in my opinion, Zenyatta is slightly too weak. I think most of his kit is fine, but his ult is really weak compared to like every other support ult.
Huge departure from the Overwatch formula. The maps are the same. The game modes are the
You don't
same.
agree?
There are new maps and there is a new...
Maybe I'm biased
but
because I'm playing.
Overall, you're going to just be playing mostly the normal Overwatch stuff and experiencing normal Overwatch shit. So
yeah, but you have to agree that his ult is lackluster compared to... Because number one, it doesn't support against potential future incoming damage. And number 2, it gets countered by anti-heal.
Didn't like that.
Compares Zenyatta's ult to like a Lucio ult, right? Lucio is just mogs him in like every way.
This game is not winning you over. It's not even gonna come close because you're playing the same thing, just a better version of it. So if you didn't like Overwatch,
oh, let's break it down. Lucio can be EMP. What?
Sugarcoat that at all. It's
anyone can, no?
Simple. One other compliment I'd like to give to the game is there's a lot of really fun custom games, like some really goofy ones like Kill to Grow.
That's why you don't stack out into trans to spread out. But then you can't reach him.
Where you start as like a little ant, but as you get more kills, you start getting bigger and bigger until it's like a giant kaiju fight. Like, there's really enjoyable custom games that just brought back that nostalgic feeling of old, like, Halo custom games, which I haven't really seen in many other titles recently. So I just wanted to shout out the custom games at the moment, because those have actually been pretty fun to dick around in. And one more thing that I don't like, the ranking system at the moment. The competitive ladder doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. They have this system in place that's very mysterious and doesn't compute with me or anyone in my friend group, where they don't allow you to queue with people that are even somewhat higher or lower ranked than you. So for example, we tried stacking and we were able to play whatever role we wanted for like the first 2 games, but then by the 3rd game, one of us wasn't allowed to be DPS anymore, one of us wasn't allowed to be tank anymore, one of us wasn't allowed to be support anymore, for no reason. Like, none of us had even gotten a new rank or anything. Just after winning 2 games, all of a sudden we got locked out of our favorite role for some reason. And they're doing this because they don't want, like,
I think the universe wants you to buy a fridge, man.
Smurfs to be, you know, infesting the lower ranks or some shit, I guess. But it's super, super strict and really vague. Like, super obtuse. Nothing really makes sense about it because we all started at Bronze 5. I feel like there was some kind of bug with the game. This could be copium, but I've read a lot where, like, even Grandmasters started Bronze 5. After you finish your placements, like, most people end up Bronze.
He's got something in his beard.
Bronze 5. But for some reason, after winning, like, 3 games together, some of us wouldn't be allowed to play our main role, even though we hadn't gotten a new rank or anything like that. So it just doesn't make sense. And I really don't think it's copium. I saw now 4 Grandmasters, Overwatch 1 Grandmasters, that got placed Bronze 5 after going 7-0. I personally went 7-1 in my placements and got Bronze 5. So I definitely think there was some kind of bug with the ranking right away. But regardless,
no, it's not a bug. This is also what I think is a bit of an issue, is that they have very clearly designed the game to make you instantly addicted or hooked and wanting. They're making everyone plays really low so that everyone wants to rank up to prove themselves. They want everyone to prove themselves and show, like, listen, I don't belong down here, I'm going to show them. And then they've designed the ranking up system so you have to win a certain amount of games before you rank up. So that will often make people play more, because it's like, oh, I only have to play a couple more games and then I'm all right, fine, I was gonna go to bed, but just 1 or 2 more games. I only have to win 1 more game for a rank up. Let's do it. Oh no, I lost. Well, I'll just have to play 1 more game.
I don't like this super strict, very counterintuitive queue lock system they have, because it just doesn't make a ton of sense. You should be able to queue with your friends within reason, like unranked bronze and silver should all be able to play together until like one of them reaches like gold, then they can't play with bronze or something, or even like plat, you know? Like it just feels way too strict and nothing makes sense about it at the moment to me. So I think that's a lot of trash. I also am not sure how I feel about their competitive system where you have to win 7 games or lose 20. You lose 20, you go back, or you win 7 and you go forward. I also think there's a bug with that. Could again be copium, but I won 7 and got from Bronze 5 to Bronze 5. So my promotion was Bronze 5 to Bronze 5. But then I won 7 more and got promoted all the way to Silver 4. So it really might have been a glitch. I don't know. But regardless, I don't know how I feel about the win 7 or lose 20 system at the moment. I'll have to keep playing to see how it feels. But overall, I've just been enjoying the core game itself, which I can't believe I'm even saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just wanted to get all my thoughts out here about Overwatch 2, and that's about it. So, yeah.
I feel like most people were like saying this was a flop before it even come out.
Alright, bots.
But now I think a lot of people are actually enjoying it.
You got it, man.